beyond death, why not? So every day, right? We should live as if this might be our last day, and then so what purpose, what can we fill today with? And maybe the best thing you can do today is prepare yourself to do something the next day that you couldn't do unless you're prepared to for example, let's say doing these discussions. Maybe the best thing I could do for the world is do these discussions online, but I had to write down notes and prepare for it the past week. So um so we need to use up like a mantra, I'd say, to to remind ourselves that we are every reincarnation. We're all consciousness, from one life to the next, from one planet to the next. And and here's the big one: there's nothing that I can do to change that. So this is one I believe. I don't believe in reoccurring karma, or I believe that people we can't change that we're consciousness. We even whatever deeds we do during one life, it can't influence the way the universe works. And practicing veganism, one thing is that, like, what's the karma that we're taking on as a society, or as a global society. And I think the universe is set up in a way that it's like meant to it's meant to it doesn't allow certain things to happen in the universe, like the ongoing mistreatment and torturous acts towards animals. And people are catching on. Information is traveling. And but the thing is would it be, is it good karma to hurt animals? Obviously not. Then the follow-up would be like, well, would the universe allow this to happen? And I think maybe eventually, our karma will lead to us either destroying ourselves nuclear wise, or just not being happy, and having poor health, which a lot of people have because they're consuming animal products, which are hurtful to animals, hurtful to people, and hurtful to the environment. So that being said, this will also help people to feel better about letting go of their body if it's no longer serving them. If it's mentally or physically not working, what reason would you not want to get a new body? Would you be afraid to, if you're, for example, a white guy like myself, would I be afraid to incarnate and be, an Indian lesbian woman in India? No, I'm not afraid. I'm excited. I'm excited to realize my full potential of who I actually am, consciousness. And this also extends to feeling better about helping others if they're mentally and physically trapped in their bodies, or they're criminally insane. Why can't we help them get out of their body? Why does it have to, if people had 100% certainty about reincarnation, then the world would be different, and there would be more humane, killing, which is different than murder. Murder is illegal, and it's amoral. But killing, on the other hand, is like something that's done out of a requirement and in the interest of the greater good. You know, a criminally insane person would be better to, help them get to their next lifetime. They would be happier. The society would be happier. They would be a new child in a fresh situation. Now, this might make you think, well, I really want to make the world better before I reincarnate. Because if you're watching this right now, then I don't know, maybe there's maybe only half of the world can even watch this. The other half is in, poor and restricting and desperate circumstances. But we're getting better, guys. We're getting there, and we're doing it in the name of love and in the interest of love. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of having these technological science advancements if we don't operate in the name of love? And the love is a science. It's a science of being careful of who you're dealing with and all of that. Being careful with yourself, being loving. Okay, so let's see. Why don't we see what else? Oh yeah, here's the punchline. So why are people hesitant about death and that death is only a transition from one body to the next? Why do they not embrace that? Well, it's because of previous information that's been put out there. That there's a heaven and hell. But here's the thing. I think heaven is a boring place. The reason I say that is because heaven is like, it's not real. It's like a fantasy, and fantasies will not manifest, and we wouldn't want them to either. You wouldn't want I wouldn't want, let's say somebody's fantasy. Okay, let's choose two common fantasies. Maybe to be intimate with someone they like or are attracted to, and by the way, when you like someone or love someone, like is a half-hearted term. So when you love someone, it's because you love their values. You can't really love a person. You can only love their values, and as a result of loving their values, you then express that in terms of loving them. If it's your wife, spouse, then you're intimate with them. If it's your brother or sister, then you prioritize their needs over others. You're committed to them. You're there for them because you're committed to your mutually held values and beliefs. Now, the thing is this idea of heaven. It doesn't, there's no purpose in heaven. There's no meaning. There's no possibility to adapt and evolve, and really there can't exist a darkness without the light. So in heaven, in theory, there's only the light, but you can't have, even if there's less and less violence in the world, which there is less and less violence, but you can't have peace unless you know what violence is and are consciously taking steps to avoid and prevent it. So, heaven is boring. Reincarnate. That's one of my mantras. Quotes. And then what else is there that makes us issues in the world? Well, unfortunately, even though Christianity does bring us these, and other religions, they bring us these practical, golden rules, and things like, no intimacy until marriage, and that's very constructive for society. But the thing is wanting a supernatural being, a messianic figure to enter the world and resolve issues, taking responsibility for things. That kind of makes people want to wait and be and absolve themselves of the responsible actions that it would take to make the world better, which, we can make the world better, but it takes people who are being proactive and not just waiting or deferring responsibility to some type of hero figures, whether they're potentially coming or they're here. Okay, so it's all about actions, and here's the thing: many people, good people or bad people, identify as of a different religion, or Christianity, Jewish, Muslim, and so on. But here's the thing: is these religions have an orthodox variation, which is the real religion. So the question is, what do we like or dislike about these religions? Or other spiritual paths, whatever it is, study, like I've studied them, and there's useful information out there. But the thing is what are the things that you want to take from those religions? Like I mean, obviously Christianity helps us to see marriage as being a sacred thing and a big deal, and to make it a good and foundational aspect of society. But yeah, these are all things that we can do, but it's up to us. And I invite you to join me, shieldheart.org, and email me, johnaremus@gmail.com, and then consider my TikTok channel as well. I've got some fun stuff on there, and do check out the recommendation. I also have a playlist on. I have numerous playlists on my YouTube channel. I have music playlists for people to enjoy, and intellectual discussions. And like I study people who I consider to be on the other end of it, doing the opposite thing, such as the Fresh and Fit podcast, where I find that essentially what they do is they're preaching one thing. They're preaching that they want to, at least the show's host, he preaches that he wants virgin and the West is full of whores. But I think that we all have to actively create the society that we want. Like, even if he was to go to another country and find either virgin woman, or at least somebody who was is interested in the idea of virginity and wants to be pure and doesn't want lots of women. Well, if that's what he really wants, then is he creating that in this society? Is he creating? Is he? They're not. They're promiscuous. Although they say they're Christian, or they say they're Muslim. So you got to be really careful even with people who say there's something. See how their actions are, and how do you define a good person or a good Christian? I would say it's not by how they look at It's not by how they look at the um, it it's not by how they say that, oh, they believe that God's this or this or whatnot, but the most important thing is what their position is on marriage. Are they of principled, and will they seduce your daughters or sisters if given the opportunity, or they will only respect them and see if they want to be married or not before any intimacy? Because like I said, it's man's got the power. Man, in the sense that he's the one who officiates and chooses the woman. And so the way it's confusing if woman gives premarital intimacy, because then the man doesn't, it's like the man doesn't have a reason to properly prepare for marriage. Marriage, you got to prepare for it. You got to build up the passion, not give your passion to random people. So I don't want to put the blame on women specifically or men specifically for doing. It's a collective responsibility. But if we just make efforts to celebrating women, including women need to celebrate themselves, and that includes masturbation. So simple things, guys, give us reasons to love life. Aloha. There is no death when there is the life that I speak of. It's love.